Thank you so much that you are so patient to listen to me for another few minutes. I will, in the next 20 minutes, I'd like to give you a short overview what we have done in Germany to come from a nuclear and fossil fuel energy system to a nuclear-free energy system based on renewables. And I can put it in one sentence, because of course it's not only the technique, it's not only the consciousness of the people. We need for political decisions in this area a very strong, and we had it in the last 30 and 40 years, a very strong movement beside the parties and the parliament. And that was the reason because the government then made the decisions I will talk about. Let's see how it works. Yep. A few words to our agency. We are a part of the national government. I'm working there since 7 years now as a head of the Department for Energy and Climate, and we are giving scientific advice to the government, especially since more than 15 years, on how to come to a system without nuclear and without fossil fuels. The agency itself, it's located in Dessau near Leipzig, and we are more than 1,500 employees and working for the national government. We have the energy goals. The energy system must economically efficiency and environmental compatible and also supply securely. And we can say the status quo is we don't have these supply yet. It is not secure, it is not efficient, and is not environmentally compatible. What about the German Energiewende, or the transition to an energy system which we want to have in the next 30, 40 years? It's not a decision of the government in the last 2 years. It's a process since the beginning of the 70s, as also Xxvii told from Denmark. We start with the oil price crisis and also the research of the Club of Rome, the limits of growth. You remember all these, and in that time we had a first decision in Germany for nuclear power plants, and at that time, the first time a special book was published by the Öko Institute. It's called Energiewende at that time, for a society without fossil fuels and uranium. In '85, we had another book from Öko Institute, and it was a kind of gathering from the movement, of course, that it's not the technique. We have already the techniques in all discovered for renewables, for energy efficiency. It's a political process we have to make to come to this new energy system. We have the accident in Chernobyl. We have heard about it. Don't talk about it yet. And in '89, the reunion of the both German states to one bigger Germany. At that time, I moved to the city of Berlin and worked there for more than 15 years for the city of Berlin for the energy sector. And after that, I moved to the Federal Environment Agency. In 1990, we had several activities on the local and the regional level in Germany, and also on the national level. The first time law which gives guaranteed pricing for renewables, which are bringing the electricity from the renewables to the grid. We had local and regional energy concepts. We had the Rio conference with the 2-degree target, and in 1997, the Kyoto Protocol. This is the framework of the energy debate in Germany. In 2012, the national government decided about the long-time goals to 2050. It's given in the next slide, where you have the goals which are in a consensus, was declared by the national parliament, by all parties, that the greenhouse gases should diminish by 80 to 95% until 2050. The renewables should reach more than 80% in the electricity sector and in the overall share of 60%. We have studies in Germany already that we can reach 100% earlier than 2050, but of course it's a result of the debate and a result of political decisions, not a technical question. Specific measures were made by the government, more than 100 measures on renewable energies, on the electricity grids, on energy efficiency. I will show you just a few ones. For the renewable energies, we have an amendment of the Renewable Energy Sources Act, and that means that all people who are owning a windmill or a solar power plant and putting electricity to the grid will get guaranteed pricing for these energy, and the result of that is in Germany that not only the big companies like E.ON or Vattenfall are investing in renewables, but also many, many people who are owner of houses or people who are going together and building a wind farm, and they're earning their own money on that. We started in the 70s with small windmills like Aeroman. We have the windmill, the twin mill in Denmark, still running. I heard last year. It's amazing. At that time, there was a big Grovian project in Germany, which was running in this size only for a few months. It was that one. But from that time on, we have a growing market of renewables, not only for wind, but also for solar power, and especially now an offshore program outside the coast that bigger windmills up to 5 megawatts or 7 megawatts were built in the North Sea and the Baltic Sea. With onshore wind, we have also extreme big growth, and a study of our agency shows that in the next 30 years we can produce as much electricity we need for the whole Germany by windmills. Of course, you must compensate it for the time over the year because you have a windless time, so you need some gas-fired or other fired power plants for backup these windmills. The size of the windmills you see in this slide, we're reaching already 7.5 megawatt now. This is the development of the renewable energies in Germany. The green one is the fuel supply, red one heat supply, and the yellow one the electricity supply. In the electricity sector, we reach already 23% of the total electricity which is made by renewables. A second approach of the energy concept of the federal government is expanding the grid. And it's not only for Germany, but it's also talking about expanding the grids for the whole Europe. You know maybe the word Desertec, where you connect the European energy system with the North African energy system. It takes another 20 or 30 years, but the first projects are going on. We had in Germany the amendment of the several acts for the acceleration of the high voltage grid, and it is needed because here you can see all the windmills which are seen in Germany in the moment. And if you build more big wind farms in the North Sea and in the East Sea, then you need to transport the electricity to South Germany, because the most demand of energy is in the south, and if you produce it in the north, the high voltage lines and the grid must be expanded. And this is the already from the government decided action plan for building up three big lines for the energy transport from north to south. The third approach is the energy efficiency. That means, on one side, energy efficiency of buildings. The heat demand should be reduced until 2050 by more than 80%. We are promoting energy services. We have expanding energy management systems in the industry and a revolving energy fund. The income of this fund is not so big as the government thought, because it becomes the money from the selling of the allowances for the CO2 emissions, and the price of these emission rights are going down rather low, because there are too much credit or those allowances in the market, so the price is rather low. We hope that the European Union will make a new decision to take some of these allowances from the market, so the price will go up, and then we also will have a little bit more money in the energy efficiency fund. In the building system, we have new energy standards, and also there is a debate how to improve these standards in the next 2 or 3 years. But I think we have in autumn, we will have elections on the national level in Germany, so we will see what the next government will make on this. But as I said, the decision to phase out nuclear was made by all parties, so we don't expect any change in these policy after the elections in autumn. These are just a few informations. How is a result on the CO2 emissions in Germany? We already reached the Kyoto targets. It's the red bar, and we are down under these 21% we have to reach. We are now something about 23% minus compared to 1990. And the target for Germany to 2020 is 40%. We have to do a little bit more to reach these 40% CO2 reduction for the Germany. Now, a few words on the transformation of the energy system in the future. One side is the amendment of the Atomic Energy Act. We already closed down all these power plants. 8 of these power plants were closed directly after Fukushima, and the 7 oldest plants, and Krümmel was a rather big power plant near Hamburg, which had an accident 2 years ago, and they didn't open it again. And we have a gradual phasing out until 2022. These are the lists of all the power plants, and you can see the year when they have to stop the production. And in 2022, the last 3 in Emsland, Isar, and Neckar-Westheim will also shut down. For the future to 2020 and a system with 100% renewables, we are working in the federal agency on some kind of scenarios and trying to fill out a room of possibilities, because of course we don't know how the energy system really will be in 40 years, and we're looking for 3 different scenarios. One is local energy autarky. It is unpublished now, but we are in the end redaction. We have a regional network scenario and the international large scale, which is still under progress. And if you put these scenarios in these kind of graphic, you have scenarios who are more central or other ones who are more decentral. You have more local ones or more international ones. And we have already experiences in such kind of scenarios. The local ones, more than 50% of Germany are on the local and regional level already made some political decisions on how to come to an energy system on this local or regional level to 100% renewables, and the colors are several networks between those regions and local municipalities. They're working especially on bioenergy or especially on wind and solar energy. So we hope we come to more than 50% of activity to shift for these 100% renewables. A second example is a whole area, an island, which is shifting to 100% renewables. It's the island of Graciosa. It's one of the Azore Islands. And the project is managed by a company from Berlin who are building a system together with windmills, with solar photovoltaics, and the integration of a rather huge storage for electricity, so you can fill out the demand, which is of course changing over the day and over the year. And they simulate this system in a bigger scale in Germany for more than 3 years with real data on the weather conditions on the island and also with the real demand data. And they can find out how the system works, and they realize it now. Another one is the Desert Tech, as I told, a system of Europe and North Africa, which gives more than 100% renewables in 2050. The consequences, of course, are that the employment improves very much. We have more than 300,000 employees now in the sector of the renewable energies. We started with less than 100 in the end of the last century, and we're expecting more than 500,000 in 2020. We have no increase in the greenhouse gas emissions, although 2 years ago 8 of the nuclear power plants were shut down. And as a summary, and I come to the end, so we have a little bit time left. The decision of the government was a total restructuring of the energy supply system in Germany. Central pillars are renewable energy sources and energy efficiency. The restructuring offers financial opportunities, and the climate protection is still guaranteed. Thank you for your attention, and good luck in Catalonia.